For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a driveway awning from Telta. So with me here today I've got the Pure 330 Driveaway. So the Pure 330 is kind of, as the name kind of suggests, it's actually a driveway awning designed in particularly for kind of motorhomes or kind of panel vans. So your Sprinter, your Teccatos, or your normal actual motorhomes. Now the reason why this is important, and first and foremost, is the fact that it's first point is in design, it's designed to fit those taller vehicles. Unlike a lot of other brands where they'll make a height that'll fit, say we take the majority of the driveway market, is just designed to fit a small little VW van. So what you find is that the main body's back here, you've got a tunnel section going up to a certain point, and generally you always have issues with the fit, how much the door opens and slides open, if the door catches when it is. There's lots of different things that become problematic when you look at this sort of thing. So by intending of having something that's designed to fit it, that's where for me it's always a go-to. This kind of design, when you have like a Sprinter or something, a catavan with a sliding door that opens all the way, you need at least about 2.8, 2.9 meters in connection width and straight to allow for that sliding door to open, and that's what this necessarily does. So if you've not heard of Telta before, they are basically a new brand to the market in 2023. Going 2024, just go from strength to strength. It's the designers who used to do originally camper and also then Dometic and moved on to create their own new brand, so it's quite exciting in that sort of sense. But we've sort of seen the first launch of the company in 2023, and it's been really positive actually, and the feedback's been great. People have been loving the product, and it's almost like been redesigning from scratch. So what they've done is they've increased door panel heights, they've used lighter fabrics and make the pack size smaller, so they've come with it from a new fresh angle. And that's where I think for me the Pure 330 in this kind of design is certainly now the market leader in what you can look at for your kind of motorhome awning. So as the name suggests, 330, that refers to a 330 centimeter width. What you have is the main body, which goes from 2.6 meters deep, and then you've got the tunnel section. So when you essentially drive away, you are looking at this main hub. In terms of the connection heights, we've got quite a wide range. So really it kind of starts from about 220 up to about 3 meters, which is going to fit a majority of vehicles. Mainly when you're on that 220 height, you are a bit lower. It's going to sack down a little bit. And that's one thing that I could really, it's very in keeping with the same size of the vehicle. So when you walk out your door, it feels like you're just walking out into the same thing, not down a small little tunnel into a little section. So that's where I said it just flows really nicely, and we'll have a look at that a bit later on inside the actual awning itself. What Telta have done is basically, again, try to reduce pack size and lightness in comparison to, say, something like the Dometic 330. So what they've used is a really nice 210D ripstop material, so you've got a real nice stability and strength of the ripstop material if anything was to go wrong, but it's a bit lighter. And actually one thing you do see it when you look at the pack size, it is quite drastically different. It's probably about a third smaller in physical size, but then 20% sort of lighter in weight. So it does make a difference, especially when you're packing everything all in. Only available in the 330 size, which to be honest is the most popular size in their driveway collection, so that works really quite nice and neatly. We've got panels all the way around it, and all the panels can be completely zipped off and removed. So the joy of this means that if you can create almost essentially like what is a kind of gazebo, remove side panels, remove the other side panels, remove the front panels, and then in the back section there's 2 door panels there which completely zip off as well. We've got it currently situated with the optional extra, which is the veranda pole. It takes it to the front, so you can still get that veranda kind of effect. It's a single inflation point as well, so you've got one point located in the centre, which inflates kind of the whole awning, so it's very quick and easy to pitch. You can see from kind of our Attwoolls pitching and packing video, I'm pretty sure I've done this model on my own in the best part of about 13-14 minutes. There are different ways you can look to connect it to your vehicle, so you either go down the lines of just throwing straps directly over the top. You do have kind of a beading in there as well, so what you can do is actually buy a fixing kit and go into a wind-up awning quite happily. Alternatively, those could be probably the 2 main methods. You do have I would definitely say throwing the straps over the top is probably an easier method, because you can just literally over the top of the roof, peg it down the other side, and they're only about yay thin, so you can avoid things like solar panels and roof panels and things like that. So that's one thing that does make a bit of a difference. I think you definitely get a more thorough connection when you go into the winder awning, so you can just basically wind the awning out, feed that directly in and put it back in. Because essentially it's freestanding, there's no actual initial weight on the awning itself, and like I said, you can have the versatility that you can detach it, drive off, come back, and you're good to go again. We've got webbing straps located all on the bottom points to get the additional tension, so you haven't got to repeg it, especially if you're on hard ground. That's new, it's definitely a bit of a pain in the ass. Ladders located on the end, which means you can adjust the heights. Doesn't matter if you're on uneven ground, you can actually obviously pick and choose and get the right amount of tension on it as well. Storm straps are an optional extra, but I would highly recommend these just because you get a lot more torsion off the width, mainly because all the guide points or straps here go forward to give tension away from the vehicle, so that's where having that bit of more stability there really does make a difference. Telta have been really kind of, again, clever in the way that the materials they've used on the fabrics. So what they've done is use a really strong sort of nylon material for the tube casings. Again, helps reduce weight, but still gets the rigidity. That's one thing I would say in terms of tube quality. It's certainly the year we've seen it, tube quality has been really good, and they've been really clever in the way they've actually, well, I'll show you actually inside in just a moment, but how they've kind of managed it. It looks very clean, looks very sleek. And like I said, the main thing for me as well is that having taller internal heights of the doors makes life an awful lot easier. The front panel you see here can actually be rolled from right to left or left to right, doesn't make a difference. Alternatively, you can actually zip it up, and there's a toggle point located here as well, just to kind of have it rolled in a nice big sausage at the top. Of course, like you said, you can remove that panel completely and it'll be a lovely big open front, and because you've actually got no hard part around the central beam, it looks very clean, and you can check out some of our imagery we've got on the link below in regarding that. The side panels, as you can see here, are kind of sort of in a, we'll call it a 60-40 split. So you've got 6% window, 40% door. So that works really quite nicely as well. And what we've done here is we've interchanged the panels over. By doing this, it means that the door entrance is located at the front of the awning rather than towards the back. So you can quite happily come and go as you please. And you can also switch them around depending on where you want that door or window to be. The door itself has a built-in mesh door to it as well, so again you have sort of circulation of air, and you can again choose that to have the ventilation points quite nice and neatly in there. Into the tunnel section at the back here, we've actually got a door, so again you can access the vehicle without going through the main body of the awning every single time, so that works really quite nicely as well. There's a lot of adjustment on the strap, so you've got a little tension point here, so you can obviously take that slack up and down, and this is always going to be a universal fit. So like I said, it's got a high range of 220 to 3 meters, so when you're on the lower end spectrum, you have a little bit of excess fabric that basically bunches up. It still gives you kind of a good, nice weather tight seal, but it always not going to look as taut as you would expect it to be, but it's always just a sheltered area to and from the vehicle. One thing to mention is also you've got pre-punched holes located in here, so other brands do little suction things like limpets and that stuff, so you can utilise that to get a better seal against the vehicle as well. That's something you don't really see in a lot of other brands. Webbing storm straps are located on the back side here, so when you drive away from the vehicle, you basically roll this tunnel down nice and neatly, peg where the van was, and that gives it support when it's sort of freestanding. I'll tell you what, let's actually bring ourselves inside and talk through a load more features that the Pure Driveway has to offer. So now inside the Telta Pure Driveway, you can probably appreciate for the sheer amount of space. I mean, the one thing you can certainly see is the height in here, and that really helps to make it feel really quite spacious and light. You know, I'm 6'2", more than happily in it. That's the whole point of making it feel like it is with the motorhome, even with say like a panel van. The depth really helps because what you find is you've got a really straight front panel here. You've got crystal clear windows pretty much everywhere around the awning to obviously get plenty of light and visibility into it. But what you've also got is privacy curtains, which are basically on little tracks. And actually one thing again is the fabric they use. It's not like a kind of shower curtain, bit of a nice softer touch scenario. You've got curtains to get obviously, like I said, the privacy, so you can still get shelter and everything away from it as you need it to. But again, when you want it, you still got a kind of homely effect. It works really quite nicely. It's almost worth mentioning actually that if you wanted to increase your internal space, you do have the option of annexes, or can go on either side. And actually it's a large annex, like I said, so it feels a bit like an extension because the panel is much higher. So again, you're not really having to duck and stoop into the actual awning itself. We mentioned obviously on the outside is a single inflation point. That is located down here. The air basically comes up and then distributes itself through these isolation taps. So that way the whole system pumps up as one, but you have the ability to isolate everything off. And that way if you had a problem for any God forbid reason, it's then situated to those single sections rather than sort of affecting the whole awning. So it means you can isolate it off, get the tube out, patch it, repair it, or replace it, depending on what you want to do it, and put it back in, and you're good to go again. So, but generally, tube quality tends to be pretty good. And like I said, being only about 9 psi, it's actually quite a low pressure system. It's also worth mentioning actually that in terms of the warranty you get with kind of the Telta is 2 years manufacturing warranty, 3 years on the tubes. So again, it's a real competitive and probably one of the better sort of warranties you find in the marketplace. There is an option of a roof liner which you can add. Because this is probably, in comparison to the rest of the Telta's range, it's made from a polyester fabric, so it's a non-breathable material, rather than a normal breathable fabric they use. And the reason they've kind of opted for that, rather than the breathable fabric, is more down to weight and pack size. And typically, it's not going to be... You want to have circulation of air anyway, and to be honest, if we look at sort of sales in this kind of marketplace, for this kind of product, from different brands, majority are normal polyester, so that way it competes very competitively on price. It's better on pack size, better on weight. So again, it's an all-round really nice product. We've got, and the thing is actually with the roof liner, it clips in really quite nicely, so it makes it much easier. You've got little Velcro tabs, which means you can run lights around the awning, and even if you've got like the stable lights, they've got little Velcro tabs to position either on the beam here, or I'm sure there was some up here. Back up there we go, up there as well. So again, that really helps to add additional lighting into the awning itself without having to be sort of in a hindrance in any way. The back panels of doors, as you can see here, we've kind of got one open and one still pre-attached. You can completely remove them, so you've got a seamless entrance in. And again, if you've got that sliding door, depending on which side of the van it is, if you go and say from who's on the passenger side in the UK van, when it slides back, it means that you can have this panel completely removed, and means that almost creates a little bit of a dead space located there. So as you kind of see it in here, that's where your dead space is going to be. But you can still create a little kind of veranda section with these back parts. But like I said, having the option to completely zip them off, I think works really quite nicely. There's a range of breathable flooring, so there's not actually a ground sheet or anything sewn into it as such, mainly because it depends on the campsite, but at least having some sort of cushioned carpet option is a great option. It's come really more from kind of the caravan backside of things, rather than say like a traditional kind of driveway awning, which is more tent orientated. So that's where I think it feels more like a caravan awning, so you're used to caravans and awnings for that. Motorhomes is very sort of similar, and I think it is definitely a different hat for the person who is kind of tending to buying an awning for said vehicle. Other things to point out is that along the bottom there's little webbing straps, so it means you can't oversplay any of the beams or anything. So again, it's going to look sharp and sort of on point at all points. But in fact, let's bring the camera in actually and kind of get a bit more close personal some of these little features that we are talking about here. So first and foremost, we'll also look at that's how we got the side panels. Like so, we've got the front door to the front of the vehicle, and then the window panel to the other. And you've got a little track system there for the curtains, and again, a nice little filter. Oversized little zip pullers as well, makes it a lot easier. We've got lighting situated up in the top here as well, just flood a bit of light into it. The valves, like I said, the isolation point valves are located here as well. So you've got a little twist knob, very easily to twist and turn, just to isolate it off, and there's a little kind of description said open and close, very easy to use. Little Velcro tabs located here for kind of the hanging points, and the beams are kind of Velcroed in to the main body, so again that helps reduce, there's no external sleeves or anything in the awning, which kind of makes life a little bit easier and reduces excess fabric you don't really need. We've got the veranda pole, so the veranda pole itself can go as optional extra, so it goes from sort of all the way from one side fully to the other. You can also actually suspend it from the front to back to create like a little hanging rail, so that again works really quite nicely. Cleverly, the beams actually sort of Velcro into the main section, so you can see how seamless that looks. Looks really quite smart, and like you can't really see it. I think that's where again, attention to details worked really quite nicely there. As we kind of come into the tunnel section, we've got kind of the straps, which you can see there as well. So the straps itself, you've got different tension points. So you not only tension it vertically, tension the door up that way, and then tension the roof section. So lots of opportunity to get that tunnel looking really quite nice and sharp. And then you've got little loops here, so when you roll the tunnel away, and we've actually used it for a light, for example, works really well as well. You can see the door panel in that door section, so that again helps to sort of give you access to the vehicle without having to worry about anything. And again, you can kind of come and go as you please. But all in all, I think it looks a really quite smart model. I think For me, like I said, it is, this kind of design is the kind of go-to model when you're looking at things like Takata vans or panel vans or motorhomes, because it flows better with it. And from a fitting point of view, someone walks in and says, "I've got a Takata van," this kind of design is what I go to, just because the way it fits, the way it feels, the ability to open that sliding door back fully without it snagging on top. It's why it's designed to do, you know, and that's the first and foremost thing. For more information, feel free to check the link below this video. Take you through to our website where we've got all the latest sort of pricing, offers, individual speech spec, floor diagrams and everything you want to know about the products. But hopefully this has been helpful and informative. But by all means, let us know what you think. It's always great to have feedback from you guys as well. But all in all, that's our little video review on the Telta Pure 330 driveway awning.